Hello, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Bethanne. Today I wanted to do the New Year's book tag for 2021 because it's just a cute, fun tag and covers maybe a couple goals that I actually hadn't really set for myself and some of my other kind of wrap up and 2021 planning videos. So I thought it would just be fun to do. I've seen many booktubers do this, but I think the original tag creator is Heather over at Bookables. So I will link her channel down in the description box below. So let's just dive in. I'm going to list the questions in the description box below, and I'll also have timestamps. So if there's a question you care about seeing from lots of booktubers, but you don't really want to stick around for the rest, you can go check out the timestamps if you'd like. So the first question is, how many books are you planning to read in 2021? So my target number is 80. I do like to have a target just because it just gives me some idea of like how much I'm reading throughout the year. And it just motivates me to pick up a book most evenings instead of veg in front of the TV. I do that plenty too because I think that's valuable time. But I'd like to pick up books as much as I have the capacity for. And so just kind of keeping an eye on the number makes me do that. Last year I read 74 books, I think, for reference. I might be misremembering. So I think 80 is a reasonable target because I did read quite a bit more books kind of proportionally towards the end of the year after I'd started my booktube channel in October. Okay, number 2 is name 5 books that you didn't get to this year but want to make a priority in 2021. So that list could have been miles long, but I tried to pick a few that I just really want to get to. So I picked a mix of fiction and nonfiction. So I'm going to start with the nonfiction. I have 3 of those I wanted to show or be held accountable for. So 2 of them share an author. So one is Beyond Respectability, The Intellectual Thought of Race Women by Brittany Cooper. And then the other is, I believe, an essay anthology. It's called The Crunk Feminist Collection, and Brittany Cooper is one of the 3 authors that compiled this collection as well. So Dr. Cooper is a professor at Rutgers University, and she's does this academically, and I fell in love with her when I read her memoir, Eloquent Rage, when it came out a few years ago. I believe that was the first book that she published. And then she has this, I think, slightly more academic work. And then she ran for a while, or co-ran with some other women. And I'm actually not sure if it's still active. I should actually check that. But kind of the Crunk Feminist Collective, I believe, was kind of an online community and an online space to bring together lots of Black women authors. And so this essay collection came out of the efforts of that website. So I'm really excited to read both of these, and I've owned them for a while. Because I bought them actually shortly after I read Eloquent Rage, which I think was almost 3 years ago now. So I just really want to get to these, so they're a priority for 2021. And then the third nonfiction that I have is this was a new release in 2020. It's called X plus Y, A Mathematician's Manifesto for Rethinking Gender by Eugenia Chang. And she's a really interesting person to me because I believe she's a professor of math at an art school. I want to say in Chicago. I might be misremembering. It's actually been a while since I looked into this. Yeah, so what she kind of really specializes in is teaching math and thinking about how to make math accessible and interesting to people that aren't inherently interested in it. And in this book, I think she approaches kind of the gendered way that we think about not just the gendered way that we think about math, but also just thinking about the gender stereotypes that we apply to, whether somebody is good at math or not, right? Like okay, well, men are better at math than women, and so she kind of addresses that, I think. I might be misremembering a bit, so I don't want to talk too much. I don't really want to read the sleeve right now. But anyway, I'm very interested in this. And then excuse me, for fiction books, one that people have been trying to get me to read for a long time. So Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. I've had several friends give me copies of this over the years and tell me I need to read it. So I'm trying to get through some of my physical TBR. That's one of my priorities for this year. I'm not going to do a book buying ban or anything like that, but I would like to try to move through my TBR a little bit more than I have in the past. So part of that will be reading this book. And for, like an epic fantasy, it's actually not as hefty as they can be. So I will get to that. And then the final one is The Binding by Bridget Collins, which I've had for a little over a year now. I think this was a present from my sister-in-law perhaps a year or so ago. And I love this because book binding is like the big kind of cornerstone of the book and the world. And I think it's something like they can capture memories in the books, I want to say. So it's like a little bit, there's a bit of fantasy in here. And what really intrigues me about this is that the people who've recommended it to me are people who don't typically read fantasy books. They're people who read like literature, and thought this was such a good book that, in this case, my sister-in-law really wanted to give it to me. And so it's like that always speaks really highly to me for the quality of the book, of people who aren't typically fantasy readers love a book with some fantastic elements in it. So I'm excited about this. If you've read this, anyone, I would love to hear what you thought about it with all of the books I've mentioned. But okay, so that was number 2. Sorry. And of course, I always talk a lot. Okay, so number 3 is, what genre do you want to read more of? So there aren't really particular genres that I would like to read more of. I would like to make sure that I'm consistently reading nonfiction from a lifelong learning perspective. Last year I did a pretty good job of that. I had a 60%, 40% split between fiction and nonfiction. So I just like to make sure I keep that about even. But that's lumping all nonfiction together, for example. So I'm not going to be thinking too hard about exactly what nonfiction I'm reading necessarily. I would just like to make sure that I keep that number up. And I think that's the only thing I can think of. I just want to keep an eye on genre just to make sure that I'm reading a mix of things. I like to try to be as eclectic as possible. Okay, number 4 is name 3 non-book related goals for 2021. That would be a useful thing to think about. Yeah, so one goal professionally would be to publish 2 papers on which I'm the first author, which is doable because I have one right now that's in review at journals that I submitted last year. So hopefully that one should be a no-brainer, that it'll come out at some point this year, even if it needs major revisions. So I'd like to get at least one more out before the end of 2021. So 2 first author papers in my field is an easy goal. I don't know. I don't really, like, my other goals aren't things that I can track. It's like continue to be a good parent. So I might need to think about that, about non-book related goals that are trackable. Okay, so then number 5, what's a book you've had forever that you still need to read? So, yeah, so actually I did pull some off my shelf. So this is a trilogy of books by Patricia Keneally. I've never heard of anything else she's written. You can see they're beat up paperbacks that I got used in like middle school and high school, and I've been carting around with me to many, many states, and I haven't read them yet. So their titles are The Copper Crown, The Throne of Scone, which I'm just like, I need to read this book. What is The Throne of Scone? And then The Silver Branch. I'm actually not sure if this is even just a trilogy. It's the series is called The Keltiad. So that could be whoever knows how long. So I think the thing that intrigued me about these originally is that it almost seems like a mix between sci-fi and fantasy. So Earth is ancient in the time that these books are set, and the Celtians, I assume, the Celts live on a different planet. And there's magic users, and so yeah, so it's a mix between sci-fi and fantasy. We've got people traveling between planets, but we've also got a lot of magic. Like, oh, sign me up! I want to see what that's about. So yeah, I've had these absolutely forever. So I would like to try to read these in 2021, so I can decide if I want to keep them or if I can give them away before my next move. Would be the goal. All right. If you've heard of Patricia Keneally or if you've read books by her, I would love to know something going into these, if people like them or not. I guess obviously I could look them up on Goodreads, but it's better to get, um, I always enjoy getting kind of more organic feedback, if that makes sense. Okay, number 6, this is the last real question, is one word that you're hoping 2021 will be. So I think I've commented on some other people's videos with this, but I'm hoping for fulfilling. And what I mean by that actually is going to be a bit silly sounding since I haven't set very many trackable goals, but I want to feel like I'm accomplishing things. And on paper, I accomplished things during 2020. I made progress in all the things I'm supposed to make progress in, but the whole year just felt very discombobulated because of the pandemic and because of the elections in the US. And so, I have to remind myself about what I accomplished. I'm sure other people are kind of in the same boat. And so I would like to strike a better balance in 2021 between being aware of and paying attention to what's going on in my country and in the world, while keeping in mind, the focus and the positive things that I'm able to accomplish in my own daily life, personal life, professional life. So yeah, I'd like to be more present for the things I am managing to accomplish, if that makes sense. Yeah, so that's the end of my New Year's tag. Number 7 is tag a friend, and I usually don't tag people in videos. I tend to do really popular tags that often everybody's already done by the time I get around to it. Yeah, let me know if you've done a New Year's book tag video. There's still a lot of the people who I regularly follow. I still haven't caught up on videos yet, so I might not have caught up with your New Year's book tag video yet. So let me know if you've done one, just so I can make sure that I've seen it, because I think these are fun. And I hope everyone's year is off to a great start. And if you're not already subscribed to me, please go ahead and subscribe, and I would love to see you in the next video. All right, thanks. Bye.